Hello students of Standard 9. Welcome to the e-learning classes of DAV Moyle Public School. Subject Agriculture. Our today's topic is intensive cropping. Principles. The turnaround period between one crop and another is minimized through modified land preparation. It is possible when the resources are available in plenty. Example, garden land cultivation. Cropping intensity is high or higher in intensive cropping system. Crops intensification techniques includes intercropping, relay cropping, sequential cropping, raton cropping, etc. All such systems comes under the general term multiple cropping. Need for intense cropping. Cropping system has to be evolved based on climate, soil and water availability for efficient use of available natural resources. The increase in population has put pressure on land to increase productivity per unit area, unit time and for unit resource used. The cropping system should provide enough food for the family, fodder for cattle and generate sufficient cash income for domestic and cultivation expenses. Intensive cropping. Growing number of crops on the same piece of land during the given period of time. Cropping intensity. Number of crops cultivated in a piece of land per annum is cropping intensity. In Punjab and Tamil Nadu, the cropping intensity is more than 100%. In Rajasthan, the cropping intensity is less. Multiple cropping. The intensification of cropping in time and space dimension, growing two or more crops on the same field in a year. Forms of multiple cropping. Intercropping. Growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same field. Crop intensification is in both time and space dimension. There is intercrop completion during all or part of the crop growth. A. Mixed intercropping. Growing two or more crops simultaneously with no distinct row arrangement, also referred to as mixed cropping. Example, sorghum, pearl millet and cowpea are mixed and broadcasted in rain-fed conditions. Next one is row intercropping. Growing two or more crops simultaneously where one or more crops are planted in rows, often simply referred to as intercropping. Maize plus green gram in 1:1 ratio, maize plus black gram in 1:1 ratio, groundnut plus red gram in 6:1 ratio. Next one is strip intercropping. Growing two or more crops simultaneously in strips wide enough to permit independent cultivation but narrow enough for the crop to interact agronomically. Example, groundnut plus red gram 6:4 strips. Next one is relay intercropping, growing two or more crops simultaneously during the part of the life cycle of each. A second crop is planted after the first crop has reached its reproductive stage of growth, but before it is ready for harvest, often simply referred to as relay cropping. Example, rice, fallow pulses. Advantages of intercropping: better use of growth resources including light, nutrients and water, suppression of weeds, yield stability. Even if one crop fails due to unforeseen situation, another crop will yield and give income. Successful intercropping give higher yield, equality yields, higher crop intensity, reduce pest and disease incidences, improvement of soil health and agro-ecosystem. Sequential cropping, growing two or more crops in sequence on the same field in a farming year. The succeeding crop is planted after the preceding crop has been harvested. Crop intensification is only in time dimension. There is no intercrop competition. First one is double, triple and quadruple cropping. Grow two, three or four crops respectively on the same land in a year in sequence. Example, double cropping, rice, cotton. Triple cropping, rice, pulses, quadruple cropping, tomato, ridge gourd, amaranthus greens, baby corn. Next one is raton cropping. The cultivation of crops regrowth after harvest, although not necessarily for grains. Example sugarcane, raton, sorghum, raton for fodders. The various terms defined above brings out essentially two underlying principles, that of growing crops simultaneously in mixture, that is intercropping, and of growing individual crops in sequence, that is sequential cropping. The cropping system for a region of or farm may comprise either or both of these two principles. Now it's time to check your knowledge about today's topic. Here are some questions as your assignment. I hope you understand today's topic. We again meet with new video. Till then, stay at home, be safe, be happy.